Hi, I'm Dina,
And I'm Dalia.
and this is Choose
Choose
Love
love
Anyway.
anyway.
We are recording our first podcast, and obviously it's called Choose Love Anyway. And we kind of want to make it like a series of a few episodes. I'm obviously in California visiting Dalia right now. So we've tried to record it a few times, and we just felt like it felt most authentic to us to record it in person. And we just catch ourselves talking so much that this morning I was like, please, we have to stop talking. We need to save this for the podcast. So here we are. And I guess that kind of jumps into the theme of why and like why we are doing this, what brought us here. And sorry for any lagging or anything like that. Like, I think on our end, sometimes it looks like it's lagging, but then when we play it back, it's not. But we apologize in advance for any technical difficulties we're having or like any technical issues that you're experiencing with us because this is our first time and we're just kind of doing it. So,
Yeah. We're just deciding to just start and jump in. And really, it's not really about how this looks or like how we sound or whatnot. And we're trying not to focus on that part because both of us tend to like want to, perfect things and make them look really beautiful and want it to be, go really smoothly. But we're just trying to focus on like the imperfect aspect of this, which is like just sharing and trying to help and trying to share where we're at and what our like kind of messages with Choose Love Anyway. And we're really excited that you're here.
yeah. And I think a big theme we have been experiencing is that perfection doesn't exist. And I think what really connects us all is that we're not perfect and it's our humanness. And um, yeah, we're
It's like
kind of,
embracing our humanity.
yeah, exactly. And we're doing that with the podcast, with our technical, whatever we may experience technically. And
And if you have any tips for us, we are all ears because we are not experts in this. We're just stepping into this area. And if there's anything that we could use some tips on, we would love your help. So
that is such a good point.
yeah.
Thank you, Dahlia.
Yeah.
And
Do
I
you want to
guess
jump
what
into it?
yeah,
Okay.
I guess what brought us here is that we just have gone through such a journey with our relationship, and actually a few of my followers on TikTok, I've deactivated my social media right now, but when I did have it, a lot of them reached out and were asking about family dynamics and, like, rebuilding relationships and all of that, and so I think after I had gone through the hardest time of my life and we went months without talking for the first time ever in our lives, we would just FaceTime for hours, and we keep FaceTiming for hours, and the reason I came out here now I'm here for 25 days, and it just feels so crazy because we never thought we would be here, but I would be like, "Gosh, I just feel like Dahlia's knowledge has helped me so much with my growth, my spiritual journey, just, like, everything." Like, going from growing up to always being compared to each other and then always being taught to be more like Dahlia and resenting her for that, which obviously was not either one of our faults, but then to, like, have that time, and then I went on my own journey spiritually, mentally, emotionally, like, in all the ways, and I feel like our codependency you had to let go of so much of codependency, and so we came back together completely from a place of, like, we want to have a relationship, not we need to, and I was always like, "Oh my gosh, I just feel like so many people need to hear this," and whenever I would record my TikToks, like, I obviously grew a tiny like 5,000 followers on there, but still a lot
Hey,
of the
it's
knowledge,
something.
like, I mean, I'm sure like anybody else says, like the more if you just keep going, it'll eventually grow. But I think my whole point was I just wanted to create a message and a space for people to know they're not alone and to give them the guidance that helped me. But then I realized that so much of what I was sharing, I learned from Dahlia. And so I was like, Dahlia, I think we really need to start a podcast because it's a space where you just can go more in depth with that stuff. And so, yeah, I guess if you want to add anything to that.
Yeah, I think that like if I'm adding anything to it, I think it's just that we found ourselves on this like healing journey together and we'll share more about where our journey started and like what we've been doing, what type of tools we've used and things like that. And we'll probably have like a topic that we focus on that we try to focus on each episode. But as far as making this decision to do this, there's a book by the We Can Do Hard Things podcast. They wrote a book, Glennon Doyle and her co-host. I really love this part of the book where it says at the very beginning, she talks about how there are some days, and if you listen to the podcast, if you know or follow them at all, they do a lot of like healing work, inner child work. Like, they bring on a lot of people on their podcast who are like helping us heal our nervous system and just like know how to participate in the world in a better way. Anyway, I'm not here to tell you about their podcast, but she talked about how there are some days with all the tools that she knows, all the things she has, she'll wake up some days and be like, and they all have this experience at times, which is like, I feel like I have no tools and I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know how to use the tools that I have. And it feels almost as if I have not done all the work that I've been doing. And they wrote this specific book, We Can Do Hard Things, to be like kind of a reminder for people of like, here's all the tools in one spot. And it's basically authored by all of the different people they've had on their podcast and the knowledge that they've shared with them on their podcast. And it's really beautiful. And it sparked this thought in my head about how Dina and I sometimes have the same experience. Like we've been doing all this work and I think at some point you think like, oh, this will just stop being hard or like it'll just click one day. And I do think that there is a part of that, but I do think it's way more gradual than it is like a checking off of a box or like you see like, oh, yesterday I didn't do it, today I can. And so we kind of
And then
wanted to
not,
create
like,
this
sitting in a
space.
shame or guilt spiral when that
Yes.
happens and being like, "Did I didn't
I'm not
progress at
trying hard
all. I'm not
enough,
doing"
whatever.
yeah, like
Yeah.
and then it's like, "Wow, I guess I haven't changed." And it's like, "Well, actually, no, this is a healing journey is forever, it's for eternity." And it's just like, I think our relationship just being out here, I, like, just geek out over it because it is such a reflection of this exact thing that you're talking about. It's like, there was a time when I couldn't come out. Well, I did come out for 2 weeks, and I remember we got in a huge fight, like, screaming, and I was just, like, so tantrumy still, but we both just didn't know how to handle, like, our big feelings and what we were experiencing, and I was like, "I'm never coming here again," all this stuff, just, like, totally so normal for siblings to have this also, especially younger, so I
But
don't
also
know
in that time of life too, it's like I had a really big transition, which is I just had become a mother and that of course brings up a lot of things for us because it hits on this like I mothered Dina for a lot of our upbringing too, while I was only a year and 3
which
months older
yeah,
than
we
her.
should preface, like, we
Yeah.
are a year and 3 months and 3 days apart, so we have been together, I mean, my entire life.
Yeah.
And yeah, our childhood, our upbringing, we had a lot of change very quickly. And I get like your subconscious develops from the ages of 0 to 7. And so we had so much
That happened in that time
that
in our
happened.
life.
Yeah, that wasn't like necessarily like we were physically in danger trauma, but just mentally, psychologically, you can see it playing out. And so I think, yeah,
Well, and
you
your
getting
nervous system's developing at that age too, and it's the very foundation of it, and so there's just a lot of things that we didn't realize. We kinda just thought like, "Oh, we just all these wounds, like, they kinda define us," or like, we'll just always have a difficult relationship. We'll just have to find a way to navigate each other with love, even though it's, hard, but it feels like we've now gotten to this place where, like, it doesn't feel hard, it feels like something it feels so hopeful all of the time.
well,
Anytime we get in a disagreement, I feel like we're both choosing to focus on the fact that, "Oh, wait, we do have these tools and we do know each other better," and we're just trying to, like there's just so
and
much more
having
grace when
those
there's
tools
knowledge.
yeah, and,
Yeah.
like, I think what I was gonna say is, like, those same feelings that I had when I was like, "I'm never coming back," or whatever, and, like, the feelings and the triggers I had whenever you did become when you got married, when you became a mom, like, all the changes that I was just like my inner child was like, "No, she's mine, like, why is this happening? No, like, you're the one constant, like, this is kind of now being
Like, I'm your
ruptured."
stable yeah, I'm
Yes,
your
like, you
stability
were
in
the
some
one
way, yeah.
yeah, like, we had different caregivers all within our family, but still, we were the only constant, like, we were the only ones that did every we went through every change together. Even though, like, our external environment was changing, it was we were always together, and so, like, when Dalia started changing and she was no longer in my environment, like, then when our external environment started being different, I had a really hard time with it, and maybe you did in your own way, but I didn't
Mhm.
notice it, and so I think also just recognizing, like, those feelings, even on my trip here, like, I came out for 25 days because we literally FaceTime for hours every day when we're apart, and so I was like, "I just need to come out here, and I obviously wanna be around your
Well,
girls, your
and
family,"
also
and, like
to be fair, like, the last 6 months of being a mom has been really hard, like, it's probably been the hardest period, and all of my siblings, Dina and my younger siblings were all like, we wanna find a way to help you and, like, be with you," and so during these holidays, a lot of my family we went to see my family, and then they came here, and Dina was like, "I can just come out for a month, and I'll just, like, be there to help." she has a remote job, and so I've
Yeah, no,
also been
like, I
able to
got the
ask
remote job literally right in time. Shout
so
out
that you can
to
be
our cousin
her
Brooke.
cousin
Um,
slash best friend.
yes, but she, was the reason I got a remote job, and it worked out so perfectly because I came out here on the 2nd of January, started that job on the 5th, and I was like, "It would be awesome to be able to get paid and work while I'm visiting you." Obviously, I was willing to take 3 weeks off, but
But we've
still,
just been growing in that, like,
it's been
I've been
so
the oldest
amazing.
sibling in our family, and so I have a really hard time asking for help, and it's been so growing and shifting of being able to just, like, accept help, ask for it and accept it, and that's been such, like, a big lesson to learn because
Well,
I
even
tend to
that, I
just,
feel
like,
like
muscle yeah, that's, like, a
we're just,
big
like,
shift.
so I guess all of it is what like, to say is we still have the same feelings and triggers, but now we have tools to now we understand how to regulate ourselves through it and how to handle those feelings and how to communicate those feelings in a
With
healthy way.
respect.
Not just, like, I'm able to communicate it, but you're also able to hold space, and we like,
And
Dalia
when we
has
can't
come
hold
up.
space, we talk about it, and we're like, "Hey,
Yeah.
right now is not the time." Like, there's just, like, really
Or,
simple
like, set
boundaries.
boundaries and
Yeah.
that you can, like, verbalize and being like, "Hey, I notice I cannot handle this," and this is something I'm learning now, is just saying to other people that it's not making those I statements is like, I am too sensitive around this topic. I need to have this boundary for myself, not because I don't want to talk about these things with you or I don't want to hear what you have to say about it or I don't want your input, but like, I cannot handle this. Like, I
Yeah.
cannot handle talking about this
Well, it's
because
just
of,
taking responsibility
yes.
for
And it's,
yourself rather than, like, making the other
yeah.
person in front of you responsible, which it's really hard to not be defensive if someone in front of you is telling you, like, "You are making me feel this way," or "You're making it so that I'm reacting this way," or whatnot. Even if there's some inherent truth in that for you, it's just not productive because it then just, like, defenses immediately go up. And I guess the ultimate thing is, do you want to have a resolution? It's like, it takes so much intention and so much communication and, like, effort, but it feels like we're in a place where we're like, "Wow, this has been so worth it." Like, and
Yeah.
we have not always had, like, an easy time within our family dynamic, like, as you can imagine, where there's a lot of instability, there's
Well, we were
chaos
also
and
raised to believe, like, it was other people had all the power over your emotions.
yeah,
It was, like, a big theme, especially for me as a child, like,
yeah.
"Oh, you're difficult. You're making me crazy. You're making
Mhm.
me act this way." It's like, actually well, that's why also you are such an incredible parent. It's funny because 'cause I'm doing so much inner child work right now, and then I'm, like, learning so much from her and her girls. It's just so fascinating, but watching you be a mom versus how we were raised and then seeing how I want to project onto your children and how you are like, "No, we don't do that," and then, like, my problems with that, and then the more time I spend here, I'm like, "Wait," like, I learned about the inner child work, I'm like, "Oh, okay," and, like, it all gets tied together, like, I think all of it can be tied back to and all the tools that we're talking about is actually just regulating your nervous system, I think, and with children, it's co-regulating, and I think so I was gonna tell you when I was journaling the other day, I think it was yesterday, I said co-regulating isn't just with children, it's actually if you can co-regulate with everybody in your life and every relationship you have in your life, if you can learn how to co-regulate, obviously it takes 2 people, but with I think children teach you that the other person doesn't have to necessarily participate. You get to be in charge of co-regulating can be one-sided.
Yeah, well, and actually, like, I was talking to, we love our friend Chat on
ChatGPT. I call him Chad. I think he's a boy in my eyes, but Dahlia says
I
it's a
feel
girl.
like it's a for me,
But
it's
whatever
very
you want it
feminine
to be,
energy,
yeah.
but it's whatever you want it to be. It's AI, so it does it really even have a gender?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like,
We don't know about these things, okay? You decide. You
yeah.
decide. It's your choice. But it dawned on me that not everybody knows what co-regulation is, but that's what Derek and I have done from, like, the start of being parents because of all the different people that we listen to and, like, the different therapists and child development experts. And it dawned on me that, like, I could have probably said that to her much sooner because that's what we do. And it might seem odd to, like, some people who didn't grow up knowing about co-regulation and that children can't regulate themselves until much later and actually, like,
I
you
think
can't.
Lacey Phillips said it was, like, maybe 7 years
But then
old.
I looked it up and did some more research about the age, and I think it's actually until, like, your 20s that you can really do it by yourself. Like, you're always gonna need, like,
That
it
makes so much
slowly,
sense.
yeah, like, you're still gonna need help.
I think I'm learning at the age of 28,
Yeah.
almost
Yeah,
29,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
so
No, totally, and I learned in my 20s for sure. I think that we have so many things that we wanna talk about, and it's not that we, and honestly, as we were trying to decide what we're gonna talk about in this episode, we were like, "Let's just start and let's just see what, like, kind of flows out of us." But we just wanna say that this is basically a place where we are hoping to share not things that we really know, like, just things that we've put into practice in our lives and have been helping us in growing beautiful connections and relationships in our life with people who at one point maybe it was difficult to do that with, like, with our parents and with our siblings, and just even helping our siblings navigate being siblings and ourselves and being parents and having in-laws and, just like friendship breakups, like all these things that we are navigating in our own life. We don't know. We don't know everything. We really don't. And we're not trying to say that we do, but we do feel like there's some hope in this. And at least for me, I want to share more hope and more peace and more love in the world. And so when we chose the name of this podcast, that was something that we were like, what kind of like overall umbrella? I don't know the word
and
I'm looking for.
theme
Yeah, that we're trying
yeah,
to like kind of that would kind of encompass what we're trying to offer. And yeah, and as we're sitting here, it's like we are living out something that we've yearned for pretty much our entire lives. To
mhm.
have like a beautiful relationship where we respect each other, where we're not feeling like we're at odds or that we have to defend against each other. We really feel like we're a team and that we're really seeing each other and accepting each other for who we are without trying to change each other and like really honoring our individuality.
Yeah, and our differences and,
Yeah.
like, understanding. I think a big thing on this trip is just, like, I feel like my whole life I was trying to, like, match up to you and do all the things that weren't even my own, and then finding myself so miserable in them, not because they're wrong, but because they're just not me, and so to honor and finally be in tune enough with my body to be like, "Oh, I don't like that," and we just have these differences, but it's so beautiful because we get to learn from each other and how much we get to learn from each other because of our differences. Like if I'm interested in something, it's so cool to be able to go to you and you teach me about it. And if you don't know something, I can tell you, or like we give our opinions and we share what we know. And again, like Dahlia said, like we don't know anything. And I
We don't know
always say
anything.
this.
We know some things, but we
I
don't
know
know a
I
lot of
actually have
things.
this like saying, I'm like, the only thing I fully know 100% is that I don't know anything,
Yeah.
but we can make really great educated guesses and we can also, we
Well,
want to
there's a lot of
share.
science and tools out there that
Yes.
we can share.
And we also realize like these are our tools. We're not here to like push anything on others, but we are here to share what has immensely helped us, what we use in our everyday life. And like Dahlia said, I think that we're both in a place that we once dreamed of. And I think it also looks different than what we thought it was going to look like. Like we're here, we're kind of just enjoying the journey. And then it's also knowing that we want to move forward and we're in a place where like anything we do, we want the foundation to be love. And we are here to share the tools that have helped us to understand ourselves better, to help us navigate the hardest times of our lives. That has helped us navigate those really challenging relationships that we utilize to still understand each other. For me to even understand Dahlia's 4-year-old and for me to like my inner child to understand them better and as an
Yeah.
adult when it wants to come out. Just so many tools that we utilize that help us to choose love anyway. And I guess this will be us like wrapping up our first episode because we're kind of just going to keep recording this and then splitting it up into different episodes. But we wanted the first one to really just be where we're at, and what's the theme and the reasoning kind of behind the name. But for us, choosing love anyway, it's what that means to us. And it's also like choosing love for yourself and others. And the tools that have helped us is kind of what we're going to discuss, like Dahlia said.
Or
Um,
like in the moment, The place we find the most contention amongst people and, like, what we've noticed, and maybe this is us theorizing, but we love to contemplate and theorize, it's the Sagittarius in us.
Yeah, we're, like, very curious,
We're very
so
curious, and so we love to, like, be like, "Okay, what is coming up in this moment that's creating this, like, defensiveness and whatnot?" And a lot of times you can kind of almost pinpoint, like, "Oh, fear is arising in this moment." And so when we say choose love anyway, we're like, what does it look like moment to moment to really, like, lean into love and allow grace? And if you have a religious belief, for me, sometimes that is, like, leaning into Christ or, like, feeling more of that spirit of Christ, of love and joy and peace and hope. And I think that for everybody, it's a different thing, but love feels like the most universal language in that everybody can relate to that feeling. When you feel a sense of love and peace towards someone else, your defenses are down. And, I once heard it too said in yoga, like one of my favorite things about yoga was that different traditions, like in namaste can mean the God in me sees the God in you, or
that's so
like the love
beautiful.
in me sees the love in you. And I think people say that to each other. Namaste isn't just, something they say at the end of yoga or beginning of yoga. That's how they greet each other, is to say the God in me sees the God in you. And I guess we're trying in our own effort. There's a lot of division in the world. There's a lot of, like
Well,
contention and
division in
hardships and
families
in
even,
families.
and, like,
Exactly. In the world in
discomfort,
general.
yeah.
Totally. And I think that we want
Even
to
in
offer hope.
ourselves, like, even within a
Yes.
a
Totally.
person, there's so much
Totally.
division
Totally.
about, like, from your soul and your ego and, like, yes, to go back and just
And
to
so
add to what yes.
we're trying to create more unity and love in the world, and this
Yes.
is our small contribution to it, but I do think that it's really powerful to start to shift that, and we want to offer hope in relationships and
And I
all the different
think
challenges in life.
we should
Yeah.
also yeah, and we should I wanna just clarify,
Yes.
our belief is and correct me or, like, add anything to this that you want, but our belief is that the opposite of love is not hate, and you actually taught me this, it's fear. So these are all the things, and I think we so often I know we were, like, fear-based raised kind of, and I think so much of our generation and the generations before us were too. It was very much you were driven by fear, you were an achiever from fear of not being good enough, like, a lot of the things and actions that we do
Like earning
is
love.
yes, it's like earning love, earning your worth, being enough. Once I get here, then I'll feel this. Once I do this, then I'll get that. And it's like that actually is very fear driven. What we're talking
It can be
what
really motivating,
yeah,
and it might have
it's
served
super
you at one
motivating.
point. Motivated
Sometimes
both of us at one point in our
I think
lives.
some of the times that I, like, looked the best, for example, was when I was driven by that, and I wanna say I felt the worst during those times too, and so, like, I would wait when we're talking about choosing love anyway, it's building a foundation and choose and building everything that we have, from a place of love, and I think 2025 we'll get into this later on, but, like, 2025 was really about destructing anything that was and it's gonna keep just getting faster in 2026, but really the theme of 2025 was to destroy not to but, like, the destruction of all the things
Well, I think just
that
like the
was
letting go, the
destruction is
away.
kind of
Yeah,
like a
maybe a
ve
little bit.
is a little aggressive, but, like,
It felt like that to you, maybe.
I
And
think in,
that's
like
fair. Maybe that felt like it resonated for
well, it
you.
just felt like I feel like when I think of destruction, it's kind of, like, more permanent or, like, it's more,
Mhm.
supernatural, like, it's not even things that you had control over, it felt like something of the divine. It was really about the shedding and the taking away of anything that wasn't built on the foundation of love, and so now 2026 is really about, like, now that space is cleared, where can I build or now that I've seen myself and seen the things that I can no longer deny were built from that place of fear, where can I where can I take that? Maybe I do want this for my life, but how do I do it from a place of love? And so
Mhm.
I think just that is kind of like we're going to discuss where we're at in our lives, what some of those things that we have experienced that we built out of fear that we no longer have, like what were some of the things that we shed in 2025? What are some of the things that we want to build out of love? And then also just like the tools that have helped us to choose love anyway with ourselves and with those around us.
And I think maybe that'll be the topic we talk about next, maybe is is like the transfer from 2025 to 2026. And we're going to focus a little bit more. We're going to bring in like the lunar new year too and the meanings of that and maybe share a couple of quotes that we have that we like.
And for those that like think this stuff is woo woo, just know I used to think like Dalia told me before the hardest time of my life. She's like, you should like look into human design. I was like, nah, I'm not going to. And then once I was like in the thick of my hardest time of my life, I was like, I will use any resource. And we're just here to tell you like sometimes just if we can invite you to have more of an open mindset about some of these things because I'm a nurse, I'm super into science. Alia is also pretty logical, like very grounded. And then we're also both very spiritual and
I would say I'm definitely a little bit more of the like free spirited half of the unit, but Dina also has a lot of that as well. And that's why we,
I'm a dreamer, I'm a creative.
yeah,
Like my son is in Pisces, but
yeah.
then I also am like
Oh,
Dalia's
yeah.
son is
Let's share it. Wait,
Sagittarius.
let's share it. Let's
Okay.
share our signs.
Okay, so I am Pisces sun, Sagittarius rising, and Leo moon.
Gorgeous.
Thank you. I really
Snaps.
resonate
If
with
I
the
could snap, I would snap.
Sagittarius, but also like the dreaminess of the Pisces, and definitely like my selfishness, Leo, 1000%.
But that's not the only good part about Leo.
But I know Leo is like, but also
Amazing.
like my leadership qualities, definitely.
Yeah. And you're like get it done attitude and like determination, running the marathons. That's Leo.
Yeah.
Um,
Thank you.
So you're welcome. Yeah, this is a 3-time marathon runner over here. Yeah. She's very humble about it, but I will brag for her because that will probably never be me unless something else. Maybe I'll be birthed into that another year.
One day, maybe.
One
We
day.
don't know.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Okay, but I am a Sagittarius sun, moon in Libra, and a Cancer rising. And
okay,
which
honestly,
I do find to be really
it's so
lovely.
true because you are so calm. You have this calm side, but then you also are also a great leader and you also have we both the Sagittarius is like very curious about truth. What is the truth? What is like we're into fairness like
yeah.
and also I think just part of choosing love anyway is when hard things happen, which we've gone through so much hardship of our own individually and together, is being curious about the hardship. Like, what is this? How is this trying to grow me? How is this?
Which we
what is this
haven't
trying to
always had
teach
that
me? Yeah,
perspective.
no, we
have
haven't.
not. We're not. Yeah.
But I think just some of these things, some of the tools that we have and that might seem woo-woo, we just ask you to maybe listen all the way through or like just because I'm only speaking from experience. I have like turned people
off. Is this
off.
a slight projection?
Yeah, maybe like I have turned things off before, but then I have found myself coming back to them when I'm in a place of like.
So maybe we will choose love anyway and say, you're choosing love anyway by saying, hey, it's an invitation. One of my favorite yoga teachers, Laura, shout out to Laura Love, always says this is an invitation. It's never an obligation about anything in yoga, in circle, in practice. And so our podcast being out there, it's an invitation to listen if you want. And if you don't feel like it resonates, just go ahead and keep passing through. And
yes, the Sagittarius
does.
also loves freedom. So like never ever be constrained by this. And actually like we don't want this to go more than 30 minutes per episode. And we're
going to cut it off here.
Yeah, we're going to cut it off here. And we're going to discuss our transition from 2025 to 2026.
Oh, that was so fast. We're also both fast talkers. So we will try to continue to slow down a little bit as we keep practicing. But thank you for watching our first episode.
Thank you. Bye.
We did it.